now joining for the last time for Obi-Wan Kenobi, Children of the Watch.
That's right. It's the #1 after show for all things Star Wars television. I'm your host, Alex Maxwell, and joining me, as always, is
Mac Lacey. Alex, this is actually the finish line for us. I know I said we were at the finish line during the finale breakdown episode, but this is the finish line for us. The season is not complete until we hear what the people have to say about it, what the amazing Children of the Watch fans have to say about it, and that's what we're doing here. We are hearing from the fans. It's the Hello There Hotline.
That's right. And like Max said, it's the final Hello There Hotline for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, of course, we'll be back to talk all things Andor when that premieres on August 31st, which is just around the corner. Doing our breakdowns of Andor, and then, of course, we'll be doing our voicemail hotline episodes as well. Might have to come up with a clever name for the Andor call-in show.
Ooh, something spy-related. We'll see if Fulcrum shows up. That'd be a good, Fulcrum Transmissions or something like that.
Yeah, we're gonna workshop some possible titles and have the patrons vote over on our Patreon for what we'll call it. Because I've got a couple ideas, Cassian call-in show, the Fulcrum Transmission, Rebel Dispatch, something, there's tons that we could call it, but
we got options.
We do have options, but we're going to be doing the exact same thing we did this season for Obi-Wan Kenobi. We'll be doing for Andor, all 12 episodes. We will be doing the same thing, and then
for over twice as long as we did Obi-Wan Kenobi, we're gonna cover Andor.
And we might actually end up talking a little bit Andor specifically on our bonus Patreon episode that our patrons enjoy. And you can enjoy that too. For just $2 a month, you can gain access to our Patreon, patreon.com/The Mandalorian Watch, to gain access to bonus episodes, our Discord, and much, much more over there. And you can follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at COT Watch. And you can even get cool merch that we have for the podcast, including our Hello There t-shirt. It has been a huge popular sell for us, probably our biggest one.
Yeah, hotcakes.
And you can use the code Hello There through till I believe the end of July, and then that code will disappear. So make sure you use that code Hello There, all capital letters, to get free shipping in the U.S.
Boom.
And also be paying attention to our social media accounts for those who played the contest. Within the next few days, we're going to announce the winner to the contest. We had some people play the contest. There was a secret contest going on over on our YouTube where images would pop up and they would have to decode them and email them to mandalorianwatch@gmail.com. And that was a lot of fun. So make sure to check our social medias for that in the coming days. But I think that does it for the business, Mac.
I think so. I think the only thing left is to wrap up our discussion and hear the people's thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, and as we get into this, we have more voicemails than what we normally do because this is like the last one that we're going to do for a while. I'm about to have my first child.
Yeah.
Literally in a week. That's when it's happening. If it doesn't happen before then, it's going to happen in a week. So
I'm going to go ahead and say you can probably expect less off-season content this summer than you normally see from us. We normally like to do some things to ramp up to the shows in the off time. But I think Alex is going to have his hands full. So
yeah, literally. And so don't,
with a bundle of joy.
That's right. And so it won't be super long before we're back. But if we're absent and you're wondering where are they at? Well, it's because I'm having a kid. So that's kind of a big change in my life and figuring out the schedule and stuff like that. But as we get closer to Andor, we'll start wrapping, getting back into the swing of things and getting closer and preparing for that. And on the Patreon, we got to watch Rogue One and do a commentary on that. So that's going to be a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
So Before we jump into the voicemails, Mac, and like I said, we've got quite a few of them for this episode. How has the finale and overall the series kind of sat with you now that we're a few days removed, almost a week now from the finale?
Yeah, I think the thing that keeps sitting in with me when I reflect on it, and I haven't had time to, just because of my personal life, to rewatch yet. That's going to be soon, but I didn't have time to do that before this discussion. So the thing that's really been sitting with me is just like how big and important this TV series felt.
Yeah.
It really makes me think about, because this is the only TV show that's actually contributed to the Skywalker saga, I think.
Yeah.
Luke has showed up so far. Yeah, Luke has showed up, but as far as the main story that we've all been following since we were children, this is the first thing that's really added to that mythos, and it makes me excited for the rest of the future of Star Wars television.
Yeah.
Because I think we've now proven we can do both things. We can use this as an opportunity to tell side stories about characters we wouldn't ordinarily, or different time periods, different areas of the galaxy, whatever it is. We can expand this universe and make the galaxy feel as big as it is in the the fictional universe. But then we can also check back in with our old favorites and these kind of childhood companions, almost, these characters that we've been talking about and watching on screen for decades, and we can add to that as well. So I think Obi-Wan Kenobi solidified for me that Star Wars TV, there's the potential for it to be tons of different things, and all of those things are super cool.
Yeah, and it's going to be a while before we get Star Wars movies again.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's good that we're settling into Star Wars television. I feel like they're finding their footing in terms of how they're doing it and what they're doing. Yeah. And that's really, really exciting. And we said this 3 years ago, and now at this point, that the Star Wars television is the future of Star Wars, and we're living in that future right now because as of right now, Taika Waititi's movie, which is the next one up, they're not going to film this year, and I don't think they're filming next year either. So it's going to be a while before we see Star Wars on the big screen again. So it's really nice that we're getting really good, consistent Star Wars on our television screens, and it more than one time a year now, up to 3 with this year, and next year it looks like 3 as well. So it's a really good time to be a Star Wars fan, and I agree. I think Star Wars is at its best when it's on the big screen. Yeah. But this is better than no Star Wars at all, and television has such a unique medium to tell Star Wars, and honestly, it kind of works a little bit better in my opinion because Star Wars is episodic in nature.
Yeah.
Literally, they're called episodes 1 through 9. They are meant to be episodic, and so to get that truly week to week, man, that has been incredible, and I've been loving it. And Obi-Wan Kenobi just showed, in my opinion, how great that can be, like you said, and contribute to the overall narrative of Star Wars, that huge mythos. And so that's been really, really cool, and I've loved it. Yeah.
Another just kind of general thought was just how surprising this show was to me.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get the opportunity to look back at our final prediction episodes and our final hype episodes to see what we were talking about then, and then you'll see how much came to pass, how much didn't.
Yeah.
But the show kept us on our toes in a great way. I think at the end of the day, it had everything we were asking it to do. We got additions to the Skywalker saga. We learned about one of Obi-Wan Kenobi's biggest struggles in his life, this time period.
Right.
But we got it in ways that were totally unique and subverted my expectations. The addition of Leia, just what an inspired choice, to go with Leia as the kind of the continual twin in the show.
Right.
The recurring twin in the show. And just things that happened with the Grand Inquisitor and Reva and like all these different things. Just the show was so surprising and it felt fresh and original. I think now that I've got I know where they're going, I might change the pacing in a couple places, might, wrap some storylines up earlier so that we can focus more on the finale, that kind of thing. But overall, just a fantastic time watching Star Wars.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It wasn't perfect, but I think we can all agree that it wasn't perfect.
Right.
But to me, how I felt, it was pretty close. So I'm excited to hear what you guys think. And so let's dive into our Hello There hotline. And I want to hear from you, the people, what you thought about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the finale, and the series overall. Let's do this.
Hello there. This is David from Texas. Really loved the most recent breakdown episode. And I wanted to lend my thoughts to what y'all were talking about with Darth Vader's helmet there. So in Rebels, you're right, Ahsoka, hit one side. But I think, and I need to go back and double check it, I think Obi-Wan actually hit the other side of Darth Vader's helmet. So it's like the two people that were closest to Anakin were able to peel back a glimpse into who Darth Vader was on the inside. Whereas in contrast, Luke and Jedi removed Vader's helmet and then save Anakin. Anywho, I like to think Filoni was kind of thinking about something like that because I know he's probably a bigger nerd than we are. But yeah, long time, first time, love the show. Keep up the good work. Go Star Wars. May the Force be with you.
All right, thanks for calling me out, David.
Well, listen, I want to do that one first because literally every message on Instagram, Twitter, emails, voicemail was about Mac. Actually, it was the other side.
Can I give everyone a little peek behind the curtain and explain my thought process and what happened to get me to that conclusion? Mid-show, I was thinking, because I knew I was about to make a comment on this, it was coming to that part of the breakdown. I was like, was it on the same side or was it not? And real fast, Google image searched Twilight of the Apprentice. And the first image that came up was a mirrored image, I believe, because it didn't have it. So I checked mid-show before I started speaking. I just did not consult a reliable source.
In your defense, it's the same concept.
Right.
It's the same thing. But I really like what David is saying here because then that's that's really cool. The two most important people in Anakin's life, besides Padme, who, can't have anything to do with what's going on now, broke open both sides of his mask but could not get through to him, and it was only Luke who took off his mask that could. And so I really like that symbolism. I think that's really, really good. Maybe that was intentional, maybe it wasn't, but I really like where David's thinking. Absolutely. And now that's my headcanon for sure.
Oh, for sure. I think it's a great visual metaphor, and just really goes to kind of tighten up that continuity and the emotional through line of that. Just a great way to visually represent it. So yeah, I definitely like where David was thinking.
And this is slight spoilers for Star Wars Rebels. And if you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels, I'm telling you right now, you got to watch Star Wars Rebels. I'm actually in the middle of my Star Wars Rebels rewatch for the year. I rewatch it every year since it's been on. And I cannot tell you how much I enjoy it every single time I watch it. Yeah, it is so special to me for some reason. I don't know why, but it just is. And essentially, the Ahsoka show, when we get to it next year, is going to be like a season 5 of Star Wars Rebels. So you really need to watch Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, now more than ever, I think.
But slight spoilers for that is when Ahsoka confronts Darth Vader in that and breaks his mask. There is a very similar she says Anakin,
right?
And he also kind of responds almost kind of in a similar same way of no, I'm not Anakin and you're going to die.
Right.
And I really like the consistency there between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Star Wars Rebels. That is really, really cool. And we're going to talk about that scene some more, I believe, on this voicemail hotline because it's a pivotal scene.
It's the emotional climax.
Yeah, like if I had 3 favorite scenes from the entire series, that one is ranked. I'm not sure if I want to put that at number 1 or number 2, because the other one is Leia and Obi-Wan when he's leaving.
If I'm just being honest, the most emotional scenes for me were between Bail and Leia.
Yeah, that was my third one. Yeah.
I'm like the thing that really got me kind of tearing up and everything the most, I think, was like that conversation where he's talking about you are an Organa and everything like that. So
yeah,
I don't know, but it's hard to pick our favorite emotional moments, because I do think that this show in general was a lot more internally focused than externally focused. Like, we weren't talking about different armies combating each other. We were talking about individual characters and their choices.
And I feel like Andor is probably going to be very similar to that, right?
Yeah, I would say there would be more of the like larger scale exterior conflicts, because it is like going to be a wartime show.
Beginning of the rebellion, yeah.
Right, but I agree. It's probably definitely more so than something like, I think, like even The Mandalorian, which started out very kind of grounded and internally focused, has now become a very large like external conflict for the most part.
Right.
Excited to see how they can surprise us in season 3 with what's going on with Din after we saw the changes happen in the Book of Boba Fett, kind of with his trajectory.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited to see. Let's see if Andor or maybe even Mando season 3 could get us as in our feelings as Obi-Wan Kenobi did.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to top. That's for sure, in terms of the emotional resonance of a lot of those scenes. So yeah. Well, thank you, David, for your call. Let's do the next one.
Thanks for keeping me humble, David.
Hey guys, quick question for you. When do you think Anakin spoke his last words? So what was cool, I'm a subtitles guy, I think like you, Alex, and I noticed that they had Anakin as the subtitle character, and then the last time it switched back and it purposely said Darth, when they were in the battle on the moon there at the end. And so I was like, are those his last words? Because they do, like Anakin's dead and, calls him Darth. Or is it really, does he come back and is he Anakin again when he takes his mask off, in the final scene with Luke when they're having their kind of come together. So anyway, the question I'm wondering about is, when do you think, like, Anakin is last among us? Is it that scene with Obi-Wan or is it the one with Luke? And then the second part is, just curious about any traditions or habits that you have when you're watching the show in the morning. I know you're probably taking notes and things like that, but like for me, I get my Darth Vader mug, have a little coffee, and get all locked in by myself in my man cave. So anyway, this is Will F. from Ohio from Patreon, and just want to say thanks for all you guys do. Take care.
Nice.
Okay, so let's answer the Anakin question first, and then we can talk about kind of maybe some of the behind the scenes of our process.
Yeah.
So as I understand it, the question is kind of like, when do we think Anakin Skywalker was like last present, like his last words as far as Anakin being alive and Anakin? Is that the question?
Yeah, because there's been a lot of discussion and discourse surrounding like the line that Obi-Wan feeds Luke now in A New Hope has new context, because Darth Vader literally tells him, "No, I killed Anakin."
Right.
And so as Obi-Wan understands it, Anakin is dead.
Yeah.
And so like when he tells Luke that, he's actually not lying. Like, okay, yeah, your father is dead and Darth Vader killed him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like basically in that scene, is that the last time we actually hear or we see Anakin? And then does that account for in Return of the Jedi when he has that conversation with Luke as he's dying? Is that Anakin Darth Vader? What's going on there?
Yeah.
Mac?
in the way I see it, and this is all in how you take, I think, the themes of Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
But to me, like, a big core part of what Star Wars is, like, one of the key ideas that I think the original trilogy kind of ultimately goes to show is that, like, no one is past redemption, and it's that, like, the power of love can, like, bring somebody back from the brink. And so I take it that Luke has successfully resurrected Anakin in the flesh, like, in Return of the Jedi. Like,
yes.
It is, like, it was Darth Vader at the beginning of that throne room scene, and it's Anakin at the end of it. Like, through Luke's actions, or rather inactions, not striking him down, he has now brought Anakin back into the world. He is himself again because of the love that Luke has shown him.
I agree with that. That's my take as well. It has been really interesting to think about Darth Vader and Anakin as two different entities.
Yeah, and we've had more opportunities to do that in this show than ever before.
Yeah, honestly, I've never really separated them in my mind. It's just like, okay, that's Anakin as a bad guy, not really thinking of, like, that's a completely almost different person. Now, how far that goes in terms of, like, if that's actually the case of, like, this is a brand new personality and this is him, I don't know how far you can actually take that, because it's still Anakin in my mind, still, like, buried somewhere deep inside of Darth Vader's armor. Anakin somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But he's like repressing him.
Yeah, to me, when Vader is saying that, like, no, I killed Anakin Skywalker, to me, he's killing Anakin every day.
Yes.
Like yep. Anakin is inside him, but he is making the choice to kill Anakin every day.
Perfect way to say that, yeah.
And he's only able to allow Anakin to live through, like, Luke. So maybe that's kind of that can kind of square the dialogue with that and everything.
Well, and then just to kind of bring everything together, because this show did such a great job of highlighting how the different kids, Luke and Leia, display different types, like different traits from their parents, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of took Luke, who maybe we kind of talked about, he's a little more like Padme than we originally thought.
Right.
It kind of took that to bring Anakin out again.
Right.
Like the forgiveness, the forgiving nature of Padme through Luke kind of helped bring about Anakin's resurrection, like you said.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
And I love that too, because that allows for Padme to have an influence in finally, ultimately saving Anakin.
Yes.
Bringing him back from the brink. So, yeah, man, that's so cool. I love the thematic conversations that Star Wars allows us to have.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, so I agree with everything you said. I don't think my takes would be any different or nuanced than what Mac had to say about that, because you put it so perfectly. Now, what are some habits that we have, some behind-the-scene looks at how we do the show, especially, like,
I will say that
it's different in the summertime for me than it is during the year, but Mac, I'll let you go first.
I will say that we probably should be able to give you much more of a rigid structure of how things go, but I think just because of Alex and I's personal lives and everything, we prefer to keep somewhat of a flexible schedule as far as when things happen and everything like that. But I mean, my day on a typical Wednesday that Obi-Wan Kenobi is coming out is I wake up in the morning, and pretty much the first thing I do is I usually grab either my big, like, I have a Mando Tervis mug, or I have a Star Wars lightsaber mug where if you put something hot in it, the lightsabers on the side of it light up. Pretty cool.
Nice.
and I'll put either coffee or like a caffeinated sparkling water or something like that in the something to drink in the morning, and I'll sit down. This is normally at like 4:30 to 5:30, somewhere in that window. Watch the episode. I usually just like take a little bit to kind of just like sit and think about it. That's the moment where I no longer really do Star Wars Twitter or anything like that for the day, because I like to have kind of my own opinion and like have my like kind of I don't want to be influenced by just like what I'm reading online about an episode. I want to think through what I think about it and then give you that on the podcast, you know? So then I go to work, come home, pretty much we immediately jump in the virtual studio here. Then we record, and then we've been like splitting up editing duties and everything like that. So
very similar sort of thing, because this is not our full-time jobs, but if you'd like for it to be, you can go to patreon.com/The Mandalorian Watch and join over there. But so I get up, like Max said, kind of in that 4:30 to 5:30 range. I watch it one time with coffee. I've got a Star Wars mug as well that I got from Disney World. That it's like the mug. It's a pretty large mug. It's got each side of the mug has a like part of the original trilogy posters on it.
Nice.
So each side is like A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi. And then the handle is Luke's lightsaber. It's really cool. It's kind of a whitish mug, but I always drink out of that one. It's like a weird, almost at this point, sports-like tradition. Like
if I don't drink out of this mug, the episode's not going to be good.
That's happened. So it was episode 4 for Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's my fault, guys.
So I didn't. Alex, come on.
I drank out of the wrong mug. I didn't do the right one, and I actually I slept in that day too. I didn't actually get up to watch it earlier. So like I threw it off for everyone. So that's my bad, guys. But I'll watch it the first time through. I don't take that time to think about it like Mac does. I have to jump right into taking the notes. And so when I finish, typically I'll finish around 5:30. If I got up at 4:30, I'll start my notes at 5:30. I have to start getting ready for work around 6:30. I'm about almost halfway with my notes finished by then, and so I'm about halfway through the rewatch. I've got to go to work and teach all day middle schoolers, and then
which is, I'm sure, just amazing.
This is why I liked Fridays better too. Because
the finish line.
It's the finish line. It's like I don't have to worry about going into work tomorrow. But also, like, so when I'm finished with work, then I've got to go finish the notes. I'll finish up the rest of the episode and taking the notes. And then we pretty much record right after that. Typically, we don't do live shows, like truly live shows, and do it live, because there's a lot of pressure with that. And there's also like, if something messes up, it kind of just throws everything off. And so we like to record and then edit it.
Yeah. Neither of us have just rock star internet connections. So we like to eliminate as many of those kind of things that can go wrong as possible. So that's why we record and then do a quick edit. I mean, you can tell we normally don't edit anything unless we have to, like unless our call's interrupted or something like that.
Sure.
Pretty much what you're getting is we definitely never edit for like, oh, I didn't like how I said that, I'm gonna just take that out or anything like that. I mean, it's happened before, but
also we've got to create the like graphics and stuff for the YouTube and
writing the description.
There's a lot that goes into it for sure.
Got to set do all the privacy checks and the copyright checks and all that kind of stuff.
There's a lot, but it's worth it
because 300 people get to watch the video.
Our YouTube is not indicative of our listenership on the podcast. If you ever look at the YouTube numbers, I don't want to brag, but the podcast is doing much better than the YouTube. That's for sure.
Like on the YouTube, some of our view counts are in the 4 digits.
All right. Well, thank you for your call. Let's do the next one.
Hey, Mac and Alex, this is Liam. I'm at break at work right now, and I just wanted to say I thought this series was just one banger after the other. I thought it was really good and well done. And I was thinking about Reva. One of my coworkers said something to me about how if they took Reva out of the show, it really wouldn't change anything. And while I disagree with that, because I think I think if it had just been Vader the whole time, Obi-Wan would have been dead within like the first episode or two, and it would not have been much of a story at all. But what I'm really calling about is what it made me think of is I really started thinking about Reva's character and her age, and she's not all that far off from Anakin's age in Attack of the Clones, maybe a few years younger, but there are some similarities, and I think that, and I don't know if it's intentional or if I'm looking too deep, but I think she's kind of like a reflection of what Anakin could have been had he seeked more guidance for, I don't know his issues, well, I don't know what you would call it, and he could have been redeemed maybe sooner and not turned to the dark side. So I guess I just think that Reva and young Anakin are very similar, and her journey until, up to the last episode where she is redeemed when she brings young Luke, back and alive and well, that could have been possibly Anakin, and he would not have become Vader perhaps. And maybe Obi-Wan gets some redemption through that as well, because he helped her kind of reach that point when he, was the master to Anakin, and obviously Anakin did not get to that point. So that's it. That's all my thoughts were on that. I also want to say thank you and shout out to my girlfriend, Emily. She has always liked Star Wars and, is aware of it, but I think when I showed her this podcast when this show started, she now has a new or different love and appreciation for Star Wars, and probably seems to enjoy it a whole lot more. So I just want to thank you guys for that and for all that you do. Thanks. Bye.
Liam, thank you so much for your call. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, man, when are you going to pop the question? She's waiting on you to do that. So, I mean, if you guys are watching right now, I think take the opportunity to pause and do what you need to do.
I mean, I haven't consulted Alex on this, but I'll go ahead and say it. We'll officiate if you want. It could be the first wedding we'll officiate. We've never done that, but first time for everything on a podcast. So
yeah,
we could even stream it. Like it could be a virtual wedding. We could bring you into the studio. Or we could do it all through the Hello There hotline. You could just call in with your vows and whatnot.
Love it. Let's do it.
No, but yeah, shout out to Emily. Wish you all many years of being excellent to each other.
Yeah. And thanks for showing her the show and stuff. And that's something that we really appreciate, you guys sharing the show with people and letting them in on the fun as well, because we think this really helps deepen our love for Star Wars. And that's what this is all about. That's what we're all about, is like, we just want to have fun and love Star Wars. And so this is part of it. But let's talk a little bit what Liam's call was about, and Reva potentially being a mirror to what Anakin could have done in Revenge of the Sith if he had just stopped for a moment and thought through what he was actually doing.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely agree with Liam here. Like, if you removed Reva from the show, it's not the same show.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I do think just like structure and pace wise, we could have maybe wrapped her plot line up like an episode before or so. But yeah, I like that. I mean, she is showing that like she's kind of the prototype for a falling to the dark side, but I can still be redeemed. And maybe that's almost, I know Luke wasn't like really conscious at the moment or anything, but like Who knows? Maybe the events of this had some kind of effect on Luke, which is why he, had that inclination in Return of the Jedi.
So kind of like how Obi-Wan can't stop, but like he has to kill Sith Lords. That's all Obi-Wan does.
I mean,
Luke can't help but redeem dark side users.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Two different MOs. I have a favorite over the two methods. I think Luke probably has the better overall approach, but I get that.
I like that though. I do like the idea that like Anakin still had a choice, even in all the things that he was doing in Revenge of the Sith. He could have stopped. There were several moments for him to, okay, enough's enough.
Right.
You can stop even after everything you've done so far. You don't have to keep going. You don't have to keep doing these things.
And it's not like Reva ever like achieved her goal or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like she never got the revenge she craved, but she was able to put that aside. Maybe find a new, different way to kind of see the justice done that she wants to see done, but in a way that's actually just and not the way she was going about
version.
It.
Yeah.
I also think Reva is an important kind of parallel for Obi-Wan in this show. Because I think Reva, just like how she's almost like a good example that Anakin could have followed, she's a bad example that Obi-Wan could have followed.
Wow.
Which is like she's still hung up on this thing that happened, which like Obi-Wan's definitely hung up on the thing that happened in the past.
Yeah.
But Reva shows what happens if you let that become who you are.
Right.
And Obi-Wan, like that was a tension kind of in this show. Like, is Obi-Wan going to give in to kind of this apathy and let it take over? But we see that, he triumphs over that and gets back in the fight. So yeah, I mean, I think Reva's a very valuable character in this for both Anakin and Obi-Wan to play off kind of in different directions.
Yeah. And I'm really interested to see where her story goes from here because we don't really have many stories where dark side users are redeemed and then get to live, and what happens after that. Yeah. And she's got the rest of her life ahead of her, like you pointed out. She's not that old. She's pretty young. She's I would say in her early 20s at the very least, and that would put her in her 40s, maybe mid 30s by the time of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of cool stories that you could tell there, and I'm glad that they made the decision. I don't like the idea that she knew who Luke Skywalker was. That one's still not settling well with me, but I like the idea of where you could take her character despite that.
Yeah. I will say I feel like in the breakdown I tried to stick up for kind of that thing with her not knowing who Luke was or knowing who Luke was or anything.
I think that's the intention, though.
It's gotten me. I'm a little bit more down on it than I think when we talked about it in the breakdown now.
Yeah. I like my version better, but I think the intention of the writers was what you said, and it's that she knows who Luke Skywalker is and the connection to Anakin Skywalker, and not just he's an important boy to Obi-Wan, so I'm just going to take out my anger on him to punish Obi-Wan for tricking me to fight Vader. That one's more loops and jump like that you got to jump through to make that work. My version of it, your version, that makes sense, and I just don't like it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So Liam, thank you for listening, and just let us know if you need us. All right, let's do the next one.
Hey guys, Christy here. Just calling in again because I wanted to share something that's been really resonating with me on a personal level throughout this whole entire series. And that's that this show has been really reminding me of just how important Leia was and is still to me as a character, which I know is not something I'm alone in. There are so many people, and women in particular, who love Leia so much because she was one of the first really strong, powerful, capable female characters that a lot of us had to look up to when we were growing up. But for me in particular, one of the things that set her apart from other characters I loved growing up was that she was the first character I saw on film who, like me, was adopted. And I was adopted as a baby, and I don't really have any trauma or real memories of my biological family, just like Leia. But it was still, even so, something that just sort of always set me apart from my friends and even my family growing up. Though thankfully I don't have any cousins like Leia did. All my cousins are great people, but even so, it was still always just kind of clear that there was something a little bit different about me. I don't look like the rest of my family particularly, and I don't have any like stories to tell about my, what time I was born or anything like that. That's all just kind of a mystery to me. And, it's something that when you're adopted, you always wonder, no matter how happy you are with your adoptive family, it's a point of curiosity. You wonder who your biological parents were and what you might have in common with them and where you came from. And this whole show has just really been reminding me of how much that meant to me as a kid to see her have that shared experience with me in a way that I think I probably forgot about until this, honestly. First, it was the scene with Bail and Leia on Alderaan in the first episode. That moment really just kind of moved me to tears. But it really hit home for me in this last episode, in the scene with Obi-Wan and Leia on Alderaan. And just how perfectly Star Wars is able to balance the importance of found family and biological family. And they do it so consistently, and they do it so well. It just really stood out to me how in that moment, Obi-Wan is able to have this incredibly powerful moment with Leia where he can provide her with some of the answers to those questions about where she came from and what her parents were like and what traits she shares with them. But then at the same time, once he said that to her, and once she's shown that she appreciates hearing that, she's still able to run to the comfort of her adoptive parents who are 20 feet away and tell him that, it's okay that he can't tell her more because she's happy where she is. And it's just a really hard balance, I think, to strike of honoring both families for a person without diminishing the importance or significance of the other. And Star Wars is one of the few pieces of media that honestly just always gets it right, at least from my perspective. And it just really got to me this last episode. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. Loved the show. Love hearing you guys talk about it. Thanks. Bye.
Man, incredible. Christy, thank you so much for calling in. Thanks for sharing that with us and everything. One of my favorite things about this show is just seeing the different ways that like Star Wars impacts people, and like how I think no matter kind of who you are, there's like something to be found in Star Wars. And I don't know, just I loved how she pointed out that Star Wars is so much about found family, and then there's also a lot with biological family, because I know there's a lot of different ways that family stuff can be difficult in life, like many different nuanced ways in which that can play out. And I think everybody kind of deserves to have themselves like represented in that way, like whether you've got an amazing family or, not, or whether, you maybe don't have a family, but you've got a found family, or, whatever it is, like just kind of the universal appeal of Star Wars is something that's so powerful.
Yeah, I think she hit the nail on the head when she talked about how Star Wars is so consistent with showing how important it is relationships are.
Right.
When it comes to isolation, like we see with Darth Vader. Darth Vader has isolated himself from literally everyone. Now, of course, he was manipulated by Palpatine to do it, but he still made those choices on his own to isolate himself from literally everyone that loved and cared about him.
Yeah.
And we literally see his isolation in that suit of armor, right?
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, you have people like Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie and Lando. That's a family. They're finding their purpose and their drive in the community and connecting with other people who are not like them, right? Like Luke and Leia, their upbringings could not be any more different, yet they find common purpose. And they work towards a common goal together.
Yeah.
And like that, Han, I mean, come on. Han is the complete opposite of both of them. And like those three come together, plus Chewbacca, and then later Lando as well, and save the entire galaxy together. Like, how incredible is that? And I think that's one of the cool things that Star Wars shows is like that family aspect of, you know, Han and Luke and Leia, they didn't know each other in A New Hope, but when they came together and they found purpose together, they could do incredible things. And like when you're isolated, when you shut yourself away from people, and you, like we saw with Reva. I mean, Reva did the same thing that Vader did, right? Like she, like you said before, she was looking for an answer in all the wrong ways, in all the wrong places.
Right.
But thankfully, she realized too, that's not what my family would have wanted. And now she has an opportunity to find more people and surround herself. And so like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, except that I really appreciate that call, because Christy, I think you number one, sharing your personal story in terms of how it relates to Star Wars is just an incredible thing. And I love that. And we thank you so much for sharing that story, because it's very powerful.
Yeah. Thanks for like trusting us with that. You know?
Yeah. That's a very powerful story. And so, I also like I love where you're taking that and your ideas about it. And it's one of the most powerful things that, is about Star Wars. You know, it's why we enjoy these type of stories. It's why we enjoy Star Wars and other things like Lord of the Rings. Those type of things where people come together for a common purpose to do great things. And so, Christy, I loved your voicemail. Incredible. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's do the next one.
Hello there. My name's Allie, calling in from Salt Lake City, Utah. Just finished episode 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh my goodness. So great. So jazzed. Usually I wait till the weekend, but I watched it on Wednesday, and I thought there's enough time for me to get a nice little voicemail in, so here it is. I don't really have any good theories or anything very eloquent to say, but just that I loved it. So great. Loved the scene with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. I think so heartbreaking to see his face, and just that conversation between them was great. So many good things. Hard to choose. Anyway, really like you guys' podcast too. Been listening since season 1 of The Mandalorian, so this is the first time calling in. I think you guys do a great job, and can't wait for more Star Wars episodes. We'll talk to you later. Woo, woo, woo.
That's awesome. Thank you, Allie, for your phone call. Like, how awesome was the show? I just like, and I love that people are digging it and enjoyed it. And like you, I've not been able to go back and watch the whole thing like I hoped I could have, but I can't wait to very, very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I love that she brought up like how sad and everything that happened with Vader and Obi-Wan was in this, because I love making a story that you know has a happy ending have even more like depth of conflict and stakes, you know? Like,
yeah.
It's not like we're more worried about what happens because we know, but now like I can't wait to watch the original trilogy
Exactly.
and then see how much different Vader's redemption feels, like even just with the added context of this series, you know?
That's so good. And that's the thing. Like, we have been, like, jokingly giving Obi-Wan such a hard time about lying to Luke Skywalker.
Right.
And, like, constantly just lying about everything. But I can't wait. Like, even, like, I haven't rewatched A New Hope yet with the context of this series, but in my mind there's certain things that stand out of like, now I know why Obi-Wan did that or did not tell him that or told him that way because of the way that the series played out. You know, and so like even like I'm thinking about when C-3PO and R2-D2 and Luke are all met by Obi-Wan Kenobi after the Tusken Raiders attack Luke. Obi-Wan says something along the lines, I don't ever remember owning a droid, but then he gives this side glance at R2, almost like they share a look of like, don't tell him yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he does know who R2 is. He probably remembers who C-3PO is.
How could you not?
Owen, we're looking at you. That one still doesn't make sense, but I think Obi-Wan kind of knows, but he doesn't want to give it away just yet. So it's almost like this I kind of am taking it now as a thing, really saying to R2 of like, okay, R2, he doesn't need to know everything just yet. We got to do this by baby steps. And so this is me kind of telling R2, like, I don't know who you are, play along.
Yeah.
And then when he actually talks to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's talking about Luke's father and how great of a warrior and pilot he was, and that he was betrayed and died by Darth Vader, it's not really a lie. I mean, as far as he knows it, that's literally what Vader told him. I killed him. You didn't kill him. I did.
Yeah.
Anakin's dead.
Yeah.
So like when Yoda and Obi-Wan are telling Luke, you've got to kill Vader, they're not thinking about Anakin Skywalker anymore. They're thinking about Darth Vader.
Yeah. And I mean, I like that too, because it doesn't just mean that like Obi-Wan and Yoda are like, nah, you got to kill him because otherwise that's the only way to end the conflict. It's like, no, you have to kill Vader because Anakin's gone. Like there's no
The
hope.
chosen one's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that makes me kind of feel better about their attitude towards that too, because they don't know. Luke is the only one who's eventually able to see that Anakin isn't dead. Even before Vader is aware that Anakin is not dead, you know?
Yeah, the only three people who believed that there was any good left in Darth Vader was Padme, Luke, and Leia.
Yeah.
They're still good in him. They're still good in him. Now, I can understand now why Obi-Wan's like, no, there's not.
Right. Like, he told me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I love that. And so, yeah, I'm just as pumped about this series as Allie is. Thank you for your call. Thank you for listening since The Mandalorian, and thank you for this being your first call. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
All righty then. Let's do the next one.
Hello there. This is Andy in Phoenix calling in with a theory, mostly about Reva. So Obi-Wan said you can go now. You're free. But now she is a Force user out on her own. The Inquisitors know who she is. They're coming after her now. She's got to learn how to run and hide. She can't go back and join them. There's no way. She's done. I think that Disney might have left the door open for a Reva series as we follow her adventure to either escape the Inquisitors or how she manages to blend in with everybody else, and then someone comes looking for her, what happens then? Very similar to what we saw at the beginning of Kenobi with the Safdie brother Jedi on Tatooine there. Just a thought, and I think it's just fun to think about, and it could end up being a comic even, a series of comics or books or something, what happens to Reva after, and now that she's free. And what's she going to do with her Force powers? Going to hide it? Or is the Inquisitor going to come after her? Thanks, guys. I loved your show. I loved Obi-Wan. I give it probably a 9.5 out of 10. It was fantastic. Can't wait to catch you guys again for Andor. Keep the watch.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
Riva.
Yeah, what happens?
What happens?
To me, we've talked a lot about if they were going to do a season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm saying that kind of in quotes, we would really want them to see, we would want to see a path show, right? Riva seems like she might be primed to go join up with the path and help other Jedi kind of, find their freedom and escape to safety. I think she might, if I'm Riva, I've just realized that the way I was trying to write my world, that my response to this thing that happened to me and happened to people that I love was the wrong response, and I've been, doing the wrong thing in order to see that situation rectified. I'm not going to just be okay with what happened, I think, but I am going to find a positive way to make that situation just. And I think that, I'm just kind of imagining Riva helping people through the path, and every, parent and child she gets to safety, I'm thinking she's like kind of seeing the younglings she came up with in each one of them, like thinking like, I couldn't save them, but I can save you. And I think that's a powerful thing, right?
Yeah. That would be good. I have nothing against books or comics. I love them.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like we should get her continuation of story on television where it started.
Yeah.
And that's the prime example of how you could do it. I could also see them like waiting and using her in the Mandoverse as well.
Like
if she makes it that
work
long.
out.
Yeah. So we'll see what they decide to do. It would be kind of cool if she shows up in those series as well, those connected series, because then it's like every single TV show is leading and contributing to what's going on over there. That would be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
So I don't know, but I think we both can say we both definitely want more Riva.
Yeah. I want her and Quinlan Voss to go on adventures together.
Heck yeah.
I think they just be a cool pair to see work,
Absolutely.
Their operations and everything.
Absolutely. I love that. So thank you for your call, Andy. Let's do the next one.
This is Logan from Wisconsin calling again here. Just finished the finale today, and I am so happy with that finale. I'm assuming you guys are. I haven't listened to the breakdown yet, but I could not be happier with that finale. The interaction the fight between Vader and Obi-Wan was great. The interaction when Vader was kind of beaten up was amazing. I think even Riva in her storyline got a fairly satisfying ending. And I cannot get over Qui-Gon coming back. It was so exciting. Kind of thought that maybe he would, of course, but seeing it actually happen just made all the difference. To wrap it up, I can't help but think that they really are just setting something up for the future. My piece of irresponsible speculation is that I don't know if they'll do a season 2 for Obi-Wan. I don't think so. I think maybe they'll expand that storyline with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and what Obi-Wan does next in possibly a piece of Star Wars media that hasn't been announced yet. Because it seems like there's just stuff in the works that hasn't been announced yet that I think maybe will get announced soon that might catch everybody off guard. I think a season 2 maybe kind of lessens the effect of Obi-Wan being a limited series. But either way, we all know we're going to watch it. So either way, love the podcast. Can't wait to listen to the breakdown. So happy with the finale. Thanks.
Thank you, Logan.
Yeah.
So we've kind of talked about this on the breakdown in terms of our thoughts about a season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think it's good where it's at. I don't think you need to continue that story. Like, it's so good, you don't need to continue it. But if they did, of course, we'll be there to watch it and love it, hopefully, and be there for it. Now, it is interesting he brought that up because, and I want to say either today or yesterday, the original writer of Obi-Wan Kenobi, before they made this into a TV show, this was originally going to be a movie, and he had planned out 3 movies, so it'd be like a trilogy of movies.
Yeah.
And if I read this right, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but if I read this right, he was saying like the first movie they turned into the show. So there's still maybe some ideas for season 2 and 3, but honestly, I kind of feel like where it ended was perfect and they don't need to continue it.
Yeah. I agree. Let's talk about Qui-Gon.
Yeah, Qui-Gon.
So I'll start by saying I was so pumped to see Liam Neeson back as Qui-Gon, and that moment thrilled me. I was overjoyed. That was like a jump out of my chair at 5:30 a.m.
I feel like there's a
screaming
butt
and whooping.
coming.
I mean, it's just a cameo. Yeah. I don't think Qui-Gon actually played any narrative importance in this series at all, which I was looking for a little bit. Like, to me, the whole appeal of Qui-Gon being the one who died but is still kind of doing the Force Ghost, or he's still himself while being one with the Force, or whatever it is that he's doing. The importance of that, and like the thing that makes that special, is that he's still able to influence events in like happening in the story, you know,
in real time. Yeah.
Which, like, just the little Force Ghost cameo, he's
not
just
enough.
a cameo.
Not enough for you?
I mean, in general,
no,
I definitely need
okay.
more Qui-Gon content in Star Wars, because I think there's some massive question marks with his story, right?
Absolutely.
But I almost wonder, when we eventually get the rest of the Qui-Gon story, if we won't look back and wish they didn't do the Qui-Gon cameo in this series.
Nah. I think it was fine. I think it was perfect the way that it was.
Happens.
I think it was perfect the way that it was, because it implies that, okay, now Obi-Wan's going to go train of how to do what Qui-Gon is doing. I understand what you're saying in terms of he doesn't have the type of presence that Obi-Wan and Yoda have in the original trilogy. After they die, they kind of show up quite frequently to inform Luke about things, guide Luke still beyond the grave. I would have loved Qui-Gon to be doing that in the series, but it kind of worked the way that I kind of liked the way that it worked, in the sense of it really showed you how far Obi-Wan had fallen, that he can't even see Qui-Gon, and that's something Qui-Gon alludes to. Like, I've been here the whole time. You just couldn't see me. You weren't ready to see me yet.
Right.
And like that, the whole series was really about the journey of getting Obi-Wan to that very final point where he can see Qui-Gon and do the most important thing that he's ever going to do. And it's learn how to extend his life beyond just this into the Force. And so to me, even though Qui-Gon isn't physically in it until the very last point, his presence is still felt throughout the series to me. You know, like we were saying in the very first episode, oh yeah, Qui-Gon will show up, because like he's literally trying to talk to him the whole time and nothing's happening.
Right.
So,
and I get that. I almost wish that we had like
seen more.
Yeah. I do think the ideal medium for the Qui-Gon story is animation, though.
Honestly, book form to me.
There's a lot. You could get more. You could spend more time really working out like the metaphysics of the Force in a book, which I think is important for that. But yeah. I'm thinking of what it would take to visualize all that happening, and I think animation would make it the biggest spectacle. Like just looking back to the Yoda stuff, or the Mortis in season 6 of Clone Wars, or like the Mortis stuff, or anything like that.
Right.
You can just get so crazy with visuals in animation in a way that you can't do in the same way in live action.
I agree with that for sure. So. There's some really cool things you could do there. So I don't know, maybe we'll see that one day. I kind of feel like I doubt it. I don't know if they want to explain those rules ever.
You mean that I am more invested in this? They're not gonna make this story for me, who's very invested in this, and maybe other people are not.
Yeah, maybe.
They're not gonna tailor make me a Star Wars series, Alex?
No, it's not that. To me, it's like they don't want. Star Wars has always been hesitant about sticking to any sort of rules.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like they don't even want to go there because, like, what happens if they decide to go in a different direction?
Right. And we've talked about the remythologization.
Yeah.
Whatever we ended up
Remythification.
How about remythification works of Star Wars? Like the Mandalorian really kind of started that trend, you know, keeping things mysterious and vague.
Yes.
Again,
that's
but
kind of
old
fun
feeling, and that is fun. There's something to that, and I get why they wouldn't maybe want to explain those rules, but I want it.
I know, I do too, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. So we'll see. All right, let's do another one.
Yeah, g'day, guys. Hope you're keeping the watch. This is Liam calling from Maine. Hope you're well. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I just wanted to call and say, look, I'm down for all Star Wars content. The end. It doesn't matter. I just love it. It's great. I've been a fan since I was very, very young. I'm 46 now. I wanted to say, Alex, Max, sorry. The reason why you got so emotional with Leia at the end there, you're about to be a dad, man. You're about to be a dad. It hits different. Anything with kids hits different. So, in order to get through this call quickly, Reva, I kind of wish she died as well. Maybe a sacrifice, but as you said in the previous episode, redemption is the thing with Star Wars. So I'm cool that she got redeemed. I thought her acting was great. I think all the criticism she got was ridiculous. I think everyone just needs to chill and just enjoy Star Wars for Star Wars. She could go off with the path. She could have her own adventures. We don't need to have everything interlinked, right? Which is why I think if they do a second season of Obi-Wan, which I'm ready for because Ewan McGregor's the greatest thing since sliced bread, the adventures of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It doesn't have to be rebellion related. It doesn't have to be anything related. He just goes off on adventures, swashbuckling. That's what we miss about Star Wars, is just swashbuckling. And other people know about him, right? So Mon Mothma, Rogue One, maybe you want to reach out to your friend, wink wink. I mean, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi, so she knows he's alive. There was some sort of thing there. Bail Organa has told her about him somewhere. So yeah, the adventures of Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'd be down for it. You know, a little bit of, it'd be kind of like, what's that show? Quantum Leap, right? Do Quantum Leap. And he's Dean Stockwell. Qui-Gon Jinn is Dean Stockwell popping in with Ziggy. Anyway, keep the watch, fellas. May the force be with you. Cheers.
Nice.
Mac, do you have something to announce?
I too am having a chat. No, I'm not going to do Philip as dirty as everybody's been doing me dirty, getting something wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, actually had it right the first time. It's me.
No worries.
But
we are interchangeable. It's forgiven.
Yeah. So, I love that call. Just again, the enthusiasm behind Star Wars. And if they do a season 2, his take is like, it doesn't even have to be connected to the first season.
Yeah.
He can just do a different type of adventure, and I'm down for that. I think that would be really, really cool. If that's the path that they end up taking with it, I would be cool. Honestly, I feel like the Kenobi novel would be a good starting point if they decide to do a season 2. Maybe more Tatooine based would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Did I just get another thing wrong? I think I said Philip. This was Liam, wasn't it?
This was Liam. Our next one's Philip.
Incredible.
Spoiler alert.
This is I'm really, really on a hot streak today.
To be fair, my cursor was on Philip, and so that's probably why thought that.
We'll see.
It's what it was. Liam, yeah, but I agree. I mean, if they decide to go season 2, they could do something totally different. And let's be honest, I'm going to love it because I pretty much love everything Star Wars like you, Liam. So, yeah, I would be down.
Yeah, cool. Absolutely.
All right.
I was too shook by making a mistake to know what you just said. So let's just do the next voicemail.
How dare you ever make a mistake, Matt?
I seriously did not hear a word you said in response to that voicemail because I was so focused on getting somebody's name wrong.
Liam doesn't forgive you.
Liam, I'm very sorry.
Kidding.
Find it in your heart. Keep listening, please.
Liam, you sound like a cool dude, so please forgive Mac. I mean, wait a second. He got us mixed up. It's okay.
All right. I think this is a wash.
You're even now.
Oh, man. All right.
Liam, thank you. Please call again. Love your energy. Let's do the next one.
Hey, guys. This is Philip from Mississippi. I was calling just to give some feedback on the final episode. First, the confession. I could have sworn that y'all said that the Grand Inquisitor was being played by Rupert Grint, and I was just kind of dumbfounded throughout the whole series because I didn't know that Ron Weasley had that kind of range. Finally, I checked out the cast list after the last episode, and yes, it's a completely different, so that's on me. I think there were a few more of the kind of plot leaps in this episode that strained logic a little bit and took me out of it somewhat. I know we talked about there's always some of that in Star Wars, but I don't know. It seemed a little bit excessive this time. One thing I kept wondering about is, as we talked about the questions about what Reva was doing at the end, it seemed like that may have been a victim of the late rewrites to try to, and maybe the storytelling got kind of sloppy or untidy as a result. But I would say overall, I was really deeply satisfied with the character development of Obi-Wan. I think in Star Wars, by definition, we're dealing with archetypes, and the characters can be a little bit flat. But I think that the character development over this series is really kind of the richest that I've seen in Star Wars. Satisfied. It drew me into Obi-Wan's character as he moved from his social and spiritual isolation back to rejoining the community and the Force. And I was really moved by it, and I think I'll carry that with me for a long time. So I have enjoyed the journey, and let's all keep the watch.
What if Ron Weasley was the Grand Inquisitor?
Man, how different would this series be?
I mean, not that different because the Grand Inquisitor really wasn't in it that much.
But I'm just picturing Ron Weasley.
Totally just, and like, the makeup and everything would be the same, right? But he'd still have the red hair, I think. Just in the way Rupert Grint playing the Grand Inquisitor is that way. It's just like, I don't know if Powans even can grow hair or not, but if they can, it's red.
Oh gosh, I love it.
Did you know that dude? The only last, and I'm not checking up on Rupert Grint or anything, but the last thing I heard that he was doing in the world is he just like bought an ice cream truck and drives around and gives out free ice cream.
Good for him.
He can't charge for it because that'd be illegal. He doesn't have the licenses and stuff, so he just drives an ice cream truck around and Hands out ice cream.
That sounds like the Grand Inquisitor to me.
Me too. I mean, he's
a good way to catch
he's looking
Jedi.
to see if any of the kids are force sensitive. That's the only thing he's doing.
I just
it's all a
pictured
ruse.
the Grand Inquisitor in an ice cream truck driving around the streets of London looking for force-sensitive children.
I mean, London is just Coruscant, right? So
maybe.
Same thing.
Wow.
Incredible.
But yeah, what Philip's actual content was, besides the amazing, like, I love that he thought that the whole series of, like, what incredible range.
It's like, wow, it's just really pulling it out. I didn't expect this. I have made way worse actor misconstruing actors and stuff. So I'm right there with you, Philip. But
yeah, but like. As Philip ended the call, I really thought the same thing. Like the emotional resonance of Obi-Wan Kenobi has been incredible. The way that it has sat with me and connected with me, it really does feel so important.
Yeah. I wonder if that's not a result of this being Deborah Chow's baby from
start to finish.
Start to finish. Like, I think when an individual storyteller is telling a story the whole time through, you get a lot more maybe of just their own emotional perspective in the piece, you know? I think when you have different directors for each episode, like The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett have done, that's good for some things because you get fresh ideas and like different people are better at telling certain kind of stories. So when you're kind of changing up what you're doing week to week, I think that's something that's beneficial, you know. But this, when it's more of a grounded character study, I think having Deborah Chow, such a skilled storyteller, telling it from start to finish, you do get just more of a fully fleshed out like soul to the series almost.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because there's more of her in it than any individual director would be able to give to any one individual episode, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but I feel like in this show we got so much more like close-ups of faces in this show than we've ever had in Star Wars before, like where we just literally sit on a face for a while, whether we're tilting the camera or pushing in on their face, and it made it a little bit more intimate for this series. And that's what it needed to be, you know, because this was a series where, as Philip said, he's finding his spirituality again in the Force. Like he's reconnecting with the Force and he's reconnecting with others when he had isolated himself. Going back to Christy's call earlier, he had absolutely isolated himself, and what did that get him? Nothing.
Nowhere.
He was totally disconnected. He was disconnected from society, himself, and the Force. And I just love how this series showed us how he got reconnected with all three of those things, and he found his purpose again. He found hope again. And this series was incredible. I loved every second of it. If I had to rate the whole series on a scale from 1 to 10, I give it a 9 out of 10. There were some things that I feel like, okay, I don't know about that. The CGI was really bad in some spots. And I don't mind bad CGI, but it's like when it's so noticeable, I can't help but notice it. That's a problem.
Right.
And then some of the Reva stuff was a little wonky, but I think that as our calls have kind of pointed out, there might have been like a lot of editing happening in that final episode because they've decided to do something a little bit different with Reva going forward. So maybe that's where the wonkiness comes out of that. Yeah. But overall, I really, really enjoyed this series. There was way more positives in this series than there were negatives. I mean, Princess Leia, come on. Just incredible. The connection between her and Obi-Wan. Hayden Christensen coming back. I mean, this series was something special, and I'm really glad that we got to experience it together as a community. So I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me say, before I give a number rating or anything, a movie or a TV show I like really, really, really love, a 7 is about like the start of that threshold for me.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd put this series like somewhere between an 8 and a 9 for me.
Yeah. That's high for you. That's like me knowing you. That's really high.
To me, like scales and grades and stuff are only useful if you're like precise and everything, and if everything's like a 9, it's not like. So I like.
You would be a harsh grader if you were a teacher.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm not a teacher. I'd be like,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, so I think an 8 or a 9, somewhere in between there probably, just because like there were so many just amazing, mind-blowing moments and everything. Like you said, there's a few things here or there I'd change in terms of the mechanics of the show, but like what the show was, what it was trying to do, loved every single second of it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be up for a lot of Beskies come early next year.
This is going to be the best Beskies we've ever had because there's going to be competition.
Yeah.
Not only are characters within the same show or scenes within the same show or episodes within the same show competing against each other, but all those things are competing against other shows now.
Wow.
So it's like, what's going to be the most emotional moment? Is it going to be like Obi-Wan and Leia at the end of Obi-Wan Kenobi, or is it going to be something crazy that happens with Andor in, who knows? Like,
don't know.
That's going to be exciting. This is the first time that the Beskies is going to be a true kind of shootout between series. So look forward to that in February or so.
I would say maybe February or late January, because The Mandalorian premieres, I want to say, in February. So
so probably somewhere in the January, February realm.
Yeah, I want to get that in before The Mandalorian premieres.
Of course.
For sure. But again, thank you guys for being with us for our breakdowns for Obi-Wan Kenobi and our Hello There Hotline episodes for this season. And of course, like I said at the top of the show, we'll be back here doing the same thing for Andor. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, even though we're going to be silent for a little bit because we got some major life changes happening very, very soon. But make sure you're subscribed on both the podcast and YouTube so you never miss an episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will see you again very soon. One more thing, Alex?
Before we go, we do want to give a shout out to our Mandalore patrons. And this is going to take a while. I'm not going to lie.
Hey, strap in, everybody. But these are the people who allow us to come to you on a weekly basis through podcasting and everything. These are the people who really hold us down.
The top tier.
Absolutely. These are the path of us releasing episodes. They get us from not having an episode through the path to having an episode out. So
exactly.
Basically heroes is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. They're all like Roken. I would say maybe Rick Villanueva is a little more like Haja, but the rest of them are very Roken like.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta keep an eye on that one a little bit.
Actually, maybe less Haja, more Meeber Gascon. All right. So,
who was in Obi-Wan Kenobi, but you just didn't see him.
Didn't see him.
It's too small.
All right. Let's do it. Here we go. Terry Lee, Rick Villanueva, Bethany W., Haley Hobbs, Sam Smallwood, General Meow, Jake T, Laura McMillan, Lisa A, Sailor Chick, Zutu, Chase S, Jason Watson, Jake the Dog 0117, Aaron Ingrad, Simone from Wisconsin, Mando Gina, Allison L, Ethan R, Will Price, RK, Jeff Leopard, Amber, Mr. Haiku, Julio Leon, Justin Saunders, Bridges Baker, Jake Angel 275, Tim Lozer, Erica M.
We've got Slytherin.Rebellion.1701, Stephen S., 99th Legion, Roger from Switzerland, Sarah Kluser, Dominic B., Sean Z. Mullen, Julie Brown, TK, Michael Jensen, Skip Inzor, Julia, Jimbo Jim Tickles, Matt Trumbull, Anthony BR, Mike from Providence, Luke Menupello, PF, Andrea S., Mark Hatfield, Giacomo Crismal, Diana Bodenberg, Nick Fox, M. Baxter, Colonel Hothey.
Matthew Vogel, Eli B., Joanne D., Aaron Horowitz, Beskar Outlaw, Willie from Louisiana, Ann White, Julia F., Jenna Tantilla, Mason and Sophia, William Traynor, Ghost Spider 2018, Eric Walker, Allison Frazier, Cassandra from Boston, Libby from Dayton, Sam R., Mithra Thron, Breadmaker, Kyle M., Danny.
We've got Rob Moran, Liam L., Alex from Florida, Noah from Tennessee, Robert from Jacksonville, Yosefar, Myron Campbell, Brian Stemper, Sean Moosey, Tyler Brantley, Amy Coulter, Emily K., Ann M.V., Andrew Verdon, Jason E. Baker, James Parker Price, Todd, Larry Springer,
Jerry Springer,
James Phelan, Jesse, Matt from Michigan, Catherine Cartwright, Troy, Monty, Josh from Pennsylvania, Charlie from West Virginia, Tom Berry, Calvin McPherson, Nathan Smallwood.
Ryan Jack?
No.
Don't do them backwards? Okay.
No, please no.
Jack Ryan, Kieran Moodley, Elaine Gray, Naomi Altman, Cody from Northern Michigan, Ann Sears, Jesse Miner, Mike Aragon, TJ Thompson, Sandra Marcia Nilsson, Schwazam, Anthony Altsler, Jason Phillips, Sam Payne, Sonoma Gal, Donovan Karnacki, Ashton Helton, Kim, Donovan Hayden, Tyson, Linda Carroll, Maggie Macy, Tim Legati, Shannon Burdick, IK, Leah Knight, Aaron Pavo, Jason Macias, or Vincent Macias, Nicole Wynn, Circumlocutor. I don't know.
Circumlocutor.
Thank you. Paul Miller, Jacob J, DCY, Spazzer45, Austin Burns, Jessica Ryan Ring, Matthew Owen, Joey Mayfield Stewart, Sean Dean, Christopher Z, Jason P, Lisa K, Francisco P, Dana E, Cass B, Moji, Justin T, and Nick S.
We made it. Apologies to anyone's name that we butchered. I'm sure
that
there
was
were
half
plenty.
Of mine.
Yeah. Thank you all so much. That just means the world to us. Like it's still absolutely wild to me that people want to donate so that I can talk into a microphone. It's
we
crazy,
love you.
But yeah,
thank
you all so much. Y'all are making teamwork makes the dream work. So that's y'all. Thanks for sticking with us, holding us down. For everybody, we'll see you very soon. Thanks for listening. But until next time, keep the watch.